Hello and welcome to my channel, or if you've watched a couple of videos before, welcome back. This video is going to be why I like Kaiju number 8, Season 1. Season 2 is coming out soon. I look forward to it, but I've been rewatching Season 1 to kind of get myself re-familiar with the series, which isn't difficult. It's a series that I took to because of kind of the initial concept of what if human but given kaiju powers, right? Um, that kind of topic, or any of the topics of like human alteration or modification, have always been interesting to me. Mostly because of like what happens when you take away or modify human nature as a whole. Um, it's it's a weird topic, and it's not one that I take in to a level of, oh, I think human modification is the end all be all, or that kind of thing. I think it's just a fascinating what if kind of scenario. Um, Kind of like if I were to take a look at, I think the movie was called Splice, where they modified different genes of different creatures trying to make this new creature, right? You get the different physical aspects of creatures, but then you also get that part of I need to survive. I won't spoil Splice because I think I'm going to do a separate video on that. Um, it's not a huge like movie for me. I think it has ups and downs to it, just like everything else. Kind of like Kaiju number 8, it has its ups and downs. I haven't gotten all the way through season 1 again. It's been a while since I last watched it, but up to this point, I enjoy it. Um, the first episode kind of breaks down a here's this kaiju disposal team, here's these giant kaiju, and even smaller kaiju, not the like 30-foot or 30-story tall freaking Godzilla kinds of kaiju. I think they have proper names for them. I'll have to look it up. But they have their own different classifications, different capabilities, their own mannerisms. But we watch as one of these giant ones gets taken down, and you have to see, or you get to see this um, cleanup crew. They break down the parts of kaiju, that way they can dispose of them, get rid of all the parts and whatnot. And that's when we get into seeing what is the main character of the series, Kafka. Um, so he's a gentleman who has been trying to join this kaiju disposal team, or I, I don't remember if that's the actual proper term for it, but more so the combat version of getting rid of kaiju, right? The ones who fight. Um, and he's struggled with it. He's coming up on the deadline for the age restriction, and he he's getting to meet the new member of his team who's also joining this process, but wants to understand kaiju better so that way he can better fight kaiju. So he's putting himself in in that situation where he learns the aspects of the kaiju as they break these things down. Um, Now, the opportunity comes, they both apply. Um, I won't get too far into all the details. Um, but with how Kafka becomes a humanoid kaiju, it was a very interesting scene for me. I was like, okay, then that's kind of crazy and kind of goofy. I can understand it. But that makes me curious if there's more like this down the line, or if these things are modified, or some sort of science project, how they're integrated. I like the opening of doors for all these different layers of depth for a series. And later on in the series, you see more human-sized kaiju come up, but um, again, I'm rewatching the first season, so I don't want to go too far in depth without having that fresh memory. So I don't want to mess it up or be unfaithful to what's actually happening. But as we see them going through these tryouts, Kafka learns how to utilize parts of his kaiju nature to help him get a little bit of a one up in certain things, which I think is a fair process, or at least fair to the story writing. Sorry, it gives an unfair advantage when you have something outside of just your own capabilities, but at the same time, it kind of is fair in his situation because it's what he has with him, right? He's utilizing this ability, and not to some like negative degree. He's not, you know, ruining anything or taking anyone's spot. He's just trying to get where he wanted to, and in the process, he's having to deal with the nature of him being able to turn into a kaiju. And as the series goes on, it explores a bit more of how the kaiju nature kind of takes over the human body and human mind. Um, and I think season two would have to show a little bit more of that depth for me to be as hooked as I am now, because I find it a very fun and crazy series and goofy, and there's serious moments. You kind of see all the different forms of human emotion. You get loss, you get this kind of regret, or you get this desire to improve, become better, and to protect others. Um, there's one scene where he is freshly learning how to transform into a kaiju, and he goes to help this little kid whose mom is trapped. And he helps them, and this kaiju didn't die yet. And he's like, well, run away. I'm going to stop this thing at whatever the cost. And he charges up a punch. I don't think he knows the full nature of this yet. He just knows that he's going to get punched as hard as he can. But this kinetic energy kind of charges up within him, and he does a full blown punch. Boom! This thing just splatters everywhere. And when everything is said and done, he walks over to reassure the little girl, his friend, and the little girl's mom that he's not a bad kaiju. There's a lot of bad kaiju, but he's not one of them. Um, and she's rightfully afraid, crying. So he tries to do, goofy faces to kind of reassure her, and she just gets more and more horrified for a little bit. And he feels bad, so he goes to walk away. Like, yeah, I did my job. I'm trying, but it's not working, and that's understandable. So he goes to walk away, feeling like he did his job at the very least of protecting her and her mom. And she stops him and says, "Thank you." And later on, when this military or combat team shows up to get rid of any other remaining kaiju, they're doing an interview with her, and she stops this other character and says, she stops her as she says that she's going to kill the other character, says she's going to remove all these other kaiju. I don't know if the K word is cursed, but she's going to end all kaiju. And the little girl looks at her and says, "But not the good one, right?" And then, as you see the process of interviews and whatnot later on, you see the artwork of what this kaiju looks like, and it's kaiju number 8. Um, and I think that kind of helps with showing that, yeah, Kafka has this ability to transform into a kaiju, but he's not taken over by it. He's still human. Um, at the very least, in purpose, he was a human that was infected by kaiju, right? But I think that that discussion comes a little bit more in depth later on. I don't want to spoil too much. Um, but it was a fun, like, connecting moment to show love, fear, hatred, all these different emotions between this small set of characters. Now, as they start to show up or show more significant characters that are joining this military team later on, you get to see different reasons for why they all join. Um, and I think it's a beautiful series. I'm looking forward to more. I honestly need to stop debating whether I should try to find the manga online. I definitely should, but I don't want to go ahead of what's being released and then ruin it for myself. Um, I want to take it as it is and then read the first season of manga later on so that I can see the differences and kind of compare notes, you know. And it was kind of that way with most anime and manga for me is I want to watch the season and then I want to read the manga as after the season finishes up to see the differences in storytelling. Um, but yeah, no, this is it's a fun show for me. I understand why it might not be people's thing. I get it, right? I'm a huge nerd for monsters in general, and throw in a human capable of changing into a monster, and that just makes it far more interesting for me, especially when it shows the mental toll it takes on this human to become this creature, right? Um, but yeah, it's a fun series, and as I go down my list of other anime to check out, I'm sure I'll find another one that's similar or something close, and I think I look forward to having more of that. But anyway, oh, and before I close off this video, so the female character that was interviewing this kid after Kafka disposed of the kaiju, um, in I think it was her first scene showing off her capabilities as part of this force. She has a giant white tiger that just follows her. I don't recall if they go into specifics as to why. It's a cool tiger. I love it. It's a cool thing, but I don't understand why it's there. Um, Maybe I haven't gotten to the episode where it explains it. Like I said, it's been a while since I've watched this, but I just found it kind of goofy. I was like, you have this uh, somewhat petite female who's very strong, and then you have this giant tiger to kind of like almost throw off that visual sense, right? You have slim, more athletic kind of female with a giant freaking cannon, and then you have a giant tiger that's chilling out with her. Um, Again, I'm sure there's more to it. It's been a good minute since I've watched this first season, so it's going to take me a second to get back to it. And I don't recall. Maybe it's just there for padding because, you know, giant fluffy creature. But I like it regardless. It's a cool, just out there kind of weird thing amongst all the other crazy weird things. And it's fun for me. But yeah, I think that's going to be the end of my ramble. um, I appreciate your time listening and watching this video with me. And if you like the video, please feel free to like. If you like the nonsense rambles that I'm going on, feel free to subscribe. Um, with that, I just started my new job, so I'm trying to figure out how to prioritize different things like when I record, when I edit, when I watch stuff. I don't want the two to conflict until Either I figure out whether I want to continue doing YouTube videos or if I want to just go ahead and stick to being a blue collar, working on metal and that kind of thing, kind of job. But if there's anything you guys want me to, anybody wants me to cover or to discuss or even just check out, feel free to let me know. If it's something that's appropriate, I definitely will make a video if I like it. And even if I'm not like the hugest fan, I'd still like to discuss it if it's along that topic. There's some series that I like the designs for, but are inherently designed for children, so it's not my cup of tea, other than the designs of the giant robots. So I appreciate it. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe, all the other good shenanigans that a YouTuber is obligated to say. And with that, I hope you enjoyed the video. Bye.